Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel again. Today I'm going to show you a very simple project about the Hugging Face model test. Now Hugging Face is a very popular platform where it hosts many models. As you can see here from the Google search page, we can see now there are already more than 1 million different models where we can utilize. And if we go inside, for example, we check one of the model, we can see the model card show you all the descriptions of this model and also the different files regarding this model. And when you want to use this model, you just click use this model and you are going to see either from the transformer library or from the other channels like VLLM. However, different models we may need different packages or different channels to utilize or deploy. And you can also see we have different type of the models like text generation, text classification, text to image. So basically each model has a very specific task. It's not like what we know about ChatGPT. ChatGPT is utilizing like the GPT-4o model to do all types of tasks together. But in Hugging Face, you're going to see different small, large models where it can cater different use cases. If we go to the model, now you can see there are so many different types of the model like multimodal, computer vision, natural language processing, audio, tabular, reinforcement learning, other. Okay. I do encourage you to try them out because some of these models are very interesting to play with and could further enhance your transformer utilization skill or the skills to complete different tasks like the task categories we see on the left hand side. Yeah, so it's very convenient to utilize Hugging Face to try out different models. Now, let's check the code to test some of the models. Before we start, we need to install different dependencies that's necessary for our test. Then the first thing that we need to do is to import different models. And in here, the first task, we're going to do text generation. I chose a model which is only 231 megabytes. It's called T5. It's called T5. As you can see here, the model does not give us a very satisfying result. It's actually just take my input text and give me the exact same output. The second model I'm going to use is called DistilBERT. I'm going to use it for sentiment analysis. As you can see, this model analyzed the text of the previous step and it gets the sentiment as negative. If we run this again, it could be positive. So this model is not very stable, but if you run this model, you can see here there are very clear description, or we can say suggestion. You should probably train this model on a downstream task to be able to use it for prediction and inference. This is very important. So this is a very basic model that you need to further fine-tune for your specific task. If you use it like this, you are not, or most likely, you are not going to get a very satisfactory result. And then here you can see we are going back to the Q&A model of BERT. But here I only have a very simple logic to see if the previous sentiment is negative or positive. Then I'm going to ask different questions to the model. But here, this is only for demonstration purpose. You can easily identify that the question is not including the context. The pipeline is not very robust because you get the sentiment from the previous answer, but you are not including all the context of the previous answers. This one is just to let you know that you can add this logic in your pipeline, but to make sure that you get the answer you want, you need to consider the context. Without context, this model will do a freestyle answer. As you can see here, the question is what causes conflict in negative story? What negative story? What negative response? You need to include all the context. Without that, you're going to get a very random result. And this being said, even if you include all the context, using a very simple model, you may still get a very partial or inaccurate result. The next one is text summarizer of BART, summarize the Q&A, and you can see to summarize the previous answer, it gave the result. What will you do for a living? This is totally random. It does not give us a very interesting result. Then the next one, we are going to the translation task. We are asking the model to translate the summary to French. It does give some French output. If you don't speak this language, you may need to double check if the translation is accurate, or you may use other translation tools to double check. There are also some different models to do the translation task that you can try in Hugging Face. The last one, we use a Diablo GPT. It will respond to translated summary. So as we can see here, its response is almost the same as the input string of the previous question. So now we finish a very simple version. In this version, you can see we have different models handling the different stage of the pipeline. But there are several issues that we need to understand. First of all, the limitation of the models. If they are small, they may not give a very robust answer. And in your pipeline, if you do not decipher or include the previous answer correctly or organize the information string effectively, the answers are not very useful. Now let's see another version. In this version, I actually simplified the pipeline. Let's just focus on several things like Q&A, like summarization, and also translation. So the first thing I'm going to use is GPT-2. I'm using this model to generate the text. My question is the future of artificial intelligence. You can see the future of artificial intelligence is in question, particularly with robots on an increasing large scale. Well, it makes some sense, right? This answer is much better than the previous version, like we use other models. And there are no scientific approaches to improving AI. Grammatically, there are some errors here, right? And no real evidence of how robots can improve that. Well, makes sense, right? And it also says IBM's Watson is a sophisticated computer that uses. Okay, we already reached the maximum text window. Okay, so the answer finishes here. Then we use T5 small model to summarize. It says the future of artificial intelligence is in question. Okay, and yeah, it gets some of the words from the previous answer. Summarization is not perfect, but it can be more useful than the previous version. Then we do the question answering. Okay, I ask what is the text about? It's about the future of artificial intelligence. Okay, then we use this model to translate the text to French. You can see here. Okay, it translated the text, and also we use this model to do the sentiment analysis of it. It says positive. However, I think the summarized text is neutral sentiment, right? However, the model predicted to be positive, which means that the results could not be very accurate. So as you can see, the two different versions, we use very simple models. We can get different results utilizing different models. If you use larger, more sophisticated models, you can get better results. And I'm using these models because they are CPU friendly. So in Colab, if I do not have the computer resource, I can utilize them to do some tests. This is point number one, why I use small models. Second, you can design a pipeline. You can design a pipeline utilizing different models for a specific task. For example, like the natural language processing, if you use a simple model like transformer model, BERT model, if you fine tune it to do text classification, some very specific task, the result may not be worse than very advanced frontier model. Today I have not yet shown you that, but in the future I'm going to do some videos to check the different models as long as it is well trained and can fit into CPU, which means that the inference speed is not so slow and I can use it in Colab. The last thing I want to share with you is that the design of the pipeline, consideration of the information flow are very important. The second version, of course, is better than the previous version for several reasons, like I choose a different model, and to get a useful result, maybe I do not need a very sophisticated pipeline. I should start with a simpler pipeline. Like the previous one, I use some logic and so on, but in the design, in the writing of the code, I miss some points. So eventually it cannot be a prototype for me to develop to the next stage. The second version can be better to improve because the pipeline is simpler and I can identify the problems easily. And you can see the basic code structure is much simpler, right? So we are using one input to get an output, then the output will be the input of next stage. Make it streamlined so you can see this whole process. I wish you like this video. This is just the first step that I'm going to interact and design different workflow with Hugging Face models. I wish you like it. If you like my video, feel free to share it, give it a like, leave a comment if you have any suggestion or any doubts. Please subscribe if you like my channel, and see you next time. Bye bye.